Breaking through the darkness of the Middle East night, a firestorm of unprecedented scale has erupted. Last night, Iran and Hezbollah unleashed over 2,500 Sejjil Hypersonic capable ballistic missiles in one of the largest and most coordinated barrages in modern warfare. The sky itself turned into a blazing inferno as wave after wave of solid-fueled missiles tore through the darkness, screaming toward Israeli territory at near unstoppable speeds, turning the night into a corridor of fire. Entire formations of Israel's elite MERKAVA Brigades, once the symbol of armored supremacy, now lie shattered and burning across the battlefield. Their advanced protection systems were overwhelmed by a relentless, perfectly coordinated storm of precision strikes. What once stood as an unbreakable steel wall has collapsed into a graveyard of twisted metal. Mile after mile, burning wrecks stretch into the horizon, glowing beneath the desert sky. At the same time, Israel's multi-layered air defense, from Iron Dome to David's sling and arrow, struggled under the sheer volume of incoming fire. The unthinkable has happened. The fortress has been breached, and the balance of power is shifting. Meanwhile, in Washington, the Pentagon stands frozen in stunned silence. Decades of overwhelming military aid, cutting-edge technology, and assumed superiority are now being called into question in real time. The old playbook is collapsing. Against this new reality, a relentless storm of coordinated, high-volume, precision strikes. Even the most advanced defense systems appear strained, exposing a battlefield where dominance is no longer guaranteed and control is slipping into uncertainty. This is not just another border clash. This is a strategic earthquake, one that has shattered long-held assumptions about military dominance, exposed critical vulnerabilities, and sent shockwaves through the entire international order. The rules of war in the Middle East have just been rewritten in fire and steel. Right now, we dissect every layer of this historic escalation with precise analysis and unflinching clarity. How did Iran and Hezbollah achieve such seamless coordination to launch over 2,500 Sejjil missiles in rapid, overlapping salvos, turning the night sky into a corridor of fire? What specific tactical innovations allowed these solid-fuel ballistic weapons to saturate and penetrate Israel's vaunted multi-layered defenses, leaving elite MERKAVA tank units devastated and burning? Why has this barrage exposed fundamental weaknesses in Western-backed air defense doctrine, despite billions spent on systems like Iron Dome and Arrow? And crucially, what does this coordinated strike reveal about the eroding limits of American power projection in the region and the accelerating shift toward a multipolar military reality? We will examine the Sejjil's advanced capabilities in detail, compare its performance against modern armored formations, analyze Washington's restrained response and strategic dilemma, explore the unbreakable will driving the axis of resistance, and finally assess how this event is reshaping the global balance of power. If you're gaining valuable strategic clarity from this breakdown, hit the like button right now and subscribe to US Strategic Insight for more unfiltered analysis. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now tell us in the comments, do you believe this massive Sejjil barrage marks the beginning of a permanent shift in regional power balance? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. Let's dive deeper into the details. In the early hours of this historic night, the Middle East witnessed one of the most ambitious, coordinated missile operations in modern conflict. Iran and Hezbollah executed a synchronized assault, launching more than 2,500 Sejjil ballistic missiles in rapid overlapping waves. This was not a scattered retaliation, but a meticulously planned saturation campaign designed to overwhelm Israel's sophisticated air defense architecture from two fronts simultaneously. The operation unfolded in distinct phases. Hezbollah forces in southern Lebanon initiated the first waves with shorter-range rockets and missiles to draw Israeli attention and force early activation of interceptors. Within minutes, Iranian launchers deep inside Iran followed with the main barrage of Sejjil missiles. The timing was critical. The solid fuel design allowed near-instant launch readiness, reducing the warning window to mere minutes. Radar operators in Israel faced an immediate crisis as thousands of tracks appeared almost simultaneously across multiple altitudes and trajectories. Israel's multi-layered defense system, comprising the short-range Iron Dome, medium-range David Sling, and long-range arrow interceptors, responded aggressively. Interceptors lit up the sky in rapid succession, but the sheer volume quickly pushed the system beyond its design capacity. Each layer has finite interceptor stockpiles and reload times. When faced with hundreds of incoming ballistic missiles arriving in dense salvos, prioritization algorithms broke down. Defenders had to choose which threats to engage, while dozens of others continued their terminal descent. The Sejjil missiles proved particularly challenging. As a two-stage, solid propellant ballistic missile, approximately 18 meters long and weighing over 23 tons at launch, each carries a warhead estimated between 700 and 1,500 kilograms. Its operational range exceeds 2,000 kilometers. And during re-entry, it achieves hypersonic velocities with reported maneuvering capability in the terminal phase, often described as the dancing missile for its ability to alter trajectory and evade predictable intercept paths. This combination of speed, volume, and unpredictability created gaps that traditional ballistic missile defenses struggled to close. The most visible and devastating impact occurred against Israeli armored formations in forward positions. Elite Merkava tank brigades, long regarded as among the most protected main battle tanks in the world thanks to their heavy composite armor and the Trophy Active Protection System, found themselves under sustained bombardment. The Trophy APS, which uses radar-guided explosive charges to intercept incoming anti-tank threats at close range, is highly effective against rockets, missiles, and RPGs in smaller engagements. However, it was never designed to handle a sky filled with high-speed ballistic warheads descending across a wide area. Footage and initial battlefield reports describe entire columns of Merkava 4 tanks engulfed in flames. Secondary explosions from ammunition and fuel stores compounded the damage as warheads struck concentrated armored units. The saturation tactic ensured that even if some missiles were intercepted, enough penetrated to create widespread destruction across staging areas, supply routes, and assembly points. What was intended as a mobile, heavily protected force became a series of static targets under an unrelenting rain of precision-guided and area effect strikes. This barrage also highlighted the effectiveness of parallel front coordination. By launching from both Iranian territory and Lebanese soil in near simultaneous waves, the attackers forced Israeli command to divide its defensive resources across two axes. Air defense batteries and command centers had to allocate interceptors between short warning threats from the north and longer range but faster approaching ballistic missiles from the east. The resulting dispersion of assets created exploitable windows that individual systems could not cover. Beyond the physical destruction, the psychological and operational shock was significant. Israeli air defenses, repeatedly promoted as nearly impenetrable, were visibly strained in real time. While exact interception rates remain classified, the appearance of multiple impact sites and the scale of fires reported across military zones indicate that a meaningful percentage of the barrage achieved penetration. Commanders faced the difficult reality that even the most advanced integrated air and missile defense network has a breaking point when confronted with massed, high-volume ballistic strikes supported by solid fuel mobility and terminal phase maneuvering. In summary, this coordinated 2,500 missile assault demonstrated a clear evolution in regional warfare tactics. It combined rapid launch capability, overwhelming numerical superiority, multi-axis coordination, and advance ballistic performance to systematically stress and partially breach a defense system built on qualitative technological superiority. The burning remains of Merkava formations serve as a stark visual reminder that quantity, when intelligently applied with modern missile technology, can challenge even the most heavily protected assets on the modern battlefield. The full implications of this operation extend far beyond a single night's damage. They signal a fundamental test of assumptions that have guided military planning in the region for decades, assumptions now visibly cracking under the pressure of sustained high-intensity saturation attacks. At the heart of this unprecedented assault lies the Sejjil missile, a testament to Iran's indigenous engineering under decades of sanctions and technological isolation. Unlike earlier generations of Iranian ballistic missiles that relied on volatile liquid propellants requiring hours of fueling and preparation, the Sejjil is powered by a two-stage solid fuel propulsion system. This design allows crews to keep launchers hidden and ready, then fire within minutes of receiving orders, dramatically shrinking the window for preemptive detection and strikes. Physically imposing, the Sejjil measures approximately 18 meters in length, 1.25 meters in diameter, and weighs around 23 tons at launch. It carries a conventional high-explosive warhead estimated between 700 and 1,500 kilograms, with some variants optimized for precision strikes. Its operational range extends up to 2,000 kilometers or more, easily placing major Israeli population centers and military installations well within reach. Flight time to distant targets such as Tel Aviv can be as short as 7 to 10 minutes when launched from central Iran. What truly sets the Sejjil apart is its performance in the terminal phase. After boosting out of the atmosphere on its ballistic arc, the missile re-enters at hypersonic speeds, often exceeding Mach 8 to Mach 10 depending on trajectory and payload. During this final descent, it possesses reported maneuvering capability, allowing it to alter course unpredictably. This dancing behavior disrupts the predictive algorithms used by interceptor systems, which rely on calculating stable trajectories to achieve successful hits. The combination of extreme velocity, high altitude boosts, and terminal phase agility makes the Sejjil far more challenging to intercept than older, predictable ballistic threats. The solid fuel technology also contributes to accuracy. Equipped with advanced inertial navigation, supplemented by GPS-like corrections, the missile can achieve a circular error probable reportedly within tens of meters under ideal conditions. Launched from mobile transporter erector launchers, these weapons are difficult to locate and neutralize before firing. In the recent operation, Iran exploited this mobility to disperse launchers across vast territories, ensuring survivability and the ability to sustain multiple large salvos. When integrated into a coordinated strike with Hezbollah's shorter-range systems, the Sejjil's role became that of a strategic hammer. Hezbollah's rockets and missiles forced Israeli defenses to commit interceptors early against lower-altitude threats, depleting stocks and occupying radar resources. This created exploitable gaps for the heavier, faster Sejjil waves arriving from Iran. The saturation effect, thousands of incoming tracks appearing in compressed time windows, overwhelmed command and control networks. Defenders could not engage every threat simultaneously, and the finite number of high-cost interceptors, Arrow missiles alone, cost millions each, meant that even a modest penetration rate translated into significant battlefield impact. The devastating effect on Israeli armored forces further underscores the Sejjil's capabilities against advanced ground platforms. The Merkava 4, Israel's flagship main battle tank, features heavy modular composite armor, a powerful 120mm smoothbore gun, and the renowned Trophy active protection system. The Trophy uses radar to detect incoming threats such as anti-tank guided missiles or RPGs, then launches explosive countermeasures to destroy them at close range. In urban or low-intensity conflicts, Trophy has proven highly effective against man-portable threats. However, the system was never engineered for the scenario presented by massed ballistic missile barrages. Ballistic warheads descending at hypersonic speeds from high altitude deliver kinetic energy and explosive force far beyond the design parameters of close-in APS. The Trophy's small kill zone and limited engagement arcs become irrelevant when dozens of warheads impact across a wide area in rapid succession. Secondary effects, such as fuel and ammunition cook-offs, triggered by near misses or shockwaves, amplified the destruction. Entire MERKAVA formations, whether static in assembly areas or attempting to maneuver, were turned into columns of fire as warheads found their marks through sheer volume and precision. This engagement highlights a broader technological shift: the declining dominance of heavily armored platforms in the face of modern precision-guided and saturation missile tactics. While the MERKAVA remains one of the most survivable tanks ever built against traditional anti-tank weapons, its vulnerabilities become pronounced when subjected to ballistic strikes that bypass line-of-sight defenses entirely. The active protection layer cannot compensate for the saturation of the battle space above it. Iran's achievement with the Sejjil is especially remarkable given the context of sustained international sanctions. Every component, from the solid propellant formulation and composite motor casings to the guidance package and re-entry vehicle, was developed domestically through reverse engineering, iterative testing, and indigenous innovation. This self-reliance stands in sharp contrast to many regional powers that remain dependent on foreign suppliers for critical subsystems. The Sejjil program demonstrates how targeted investment in solid fuel rocketry, mobile basing, and terminal guidance can produce a weapon that challenges even the most advanced Western-backed defense architectures. Furthermore, the missile's design philosophy emphasizes sustainability in high-intensity conflict. Solid fuel motors require minimal logistical support compared to liquid-fueled predecessors, enabling rapid reload cycles and dispersed operations. This allows Iran to maintain launch rates that traditional defenses struggle to match economically. Each successful penetration forces the defender to expend multiple expensive interceptors, creating an unsustainable cost-exchange ratio over prolonged engagements. In essence, the Sejjil represents more than a single weapon system. It embodies a mature, battle-tested capability that integrates speed, volume, maneuverability, and precision into a cohesive operational concept. When employed in massive, multi-axis salvos alongside Allied forces, it transforms the calculus of regional deterrence. The burning wreckage of MERKAVA tanks across the battlefield serves as tangible proof that qualitative technological edges in armor and point defenses can be offset and in some cases surpassed by quantitative mass, rapid responsiveness, and innovative tactics developed through necessity. This operation has validated years of Iranian investment in asymmetric missile technology. It has also sent a clear message. Modern warfare increasingly favors those who can rapidly field large numbers of survivable, high-performance strike systems over those relying primarily on expensive, layered defensive shields. The Sejjil's performance in this coordinated strike will likely influence missile doctrine and countermeasure development worldwide for years to come. The coordinated launch of over 2,500 Sejjil missiles has placed the United States in an increasingly uncomfortable strategic position. In Washington, the Pentagon's initial response has been marked by measured statements and visible caution, avoiding any immediate commitment to direct military escalation while quietly acknowledging the scale of the challenge. Senior defense officials have described the barrage as a serious escalation that tested the limits of regional air and missile defense cooperation. U.S. forces in the Eastern Mediterranean, including guided missile destroyers, were placed on heightened alert to support Israeli intercept operations if needed. However, The sheer volume and speed of the solid-fuel Sejjil salvos meant that even combined American and Israeli efforts could not prevent meaningful penetrations. This outcome has forced a quiet reassessment inside the Pentagon about the sustainability of current defense architectures when confronted with mass ballistic threats. For decades, American strategy in the Middle East has rested on the premise of maintaining Israel's qualitative military edge through advanced technology transfers, shared intelligence, and substantial financial assistance. Billions have been invested in systems like Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow, with the expectation that layered defenses would provide reliable protection against regional adversaries. The events of this night have exposed a critical vulnerability. No matter how sophisticated the interceptors, they face severe economic and logistical constraints against sustained, high-volume attacks using mobile, solid-fuel platforms that can be fired with minimal preparation time. Pentagon planners are now confronting an unfavorable cost-exchange ratio. Each Arrow interceptor costs millions of dollars, while Iran can produce and launch Sejjil missiles at a fraction of that expense. When thousands of missiles are fired in compressed waves, even a high interception rate still allows enough leakage to cause significant damage, as evidenced by the destruction across MERKAVA armored concentrations. This reality undermines the long-held assumption that superior technology and funding can indefinitely offset numerical disadvantages in missile warfare. Geopolitically, the strike highlights the growing constraints on American power projection. With carrier strike groups and air assets already stretched across multiple theaters, the United States finds itself unable to dictate the tempo of conflict in the Middle East as decisively as in previous decades. The rapid coordination between Iran and Hezbollah demonstrates a level of operational integration that complicates U.S. efforts to isolate threats or deter Axis-aligned actions. Washington's traditional toolkit, sanctions, targeted strikes, and diplomatic pressure appears increasingly insufficient when regional actors can respond with overwhelming conventional missile volleys developed through domestic innovation. This episode also raises uncomfortable questions about the credibility of extended deterrence. Allies and partners across the region are watching closely to see whether American backing can still guarantee security against determined, technologically maturing opponents. The restrained official reaction from the Pentagon, coupled with private admissions of concern, suggests a recognition that the balance is shifting. Future U.S. planning must account for scenarios where even robust Allied defenses can be saturated, forcing reliance on offensive counterstrikes or diplomatic de-escalation rather than pure defensive dominance. On a broader scale, the operation accelerates the erosion of unipolar assumptions in global security. The successful demonstration of large-scale indigenous ballistic missile capabilities challenges the post-Cold War model in which Western technological superiority was expected to remain unchallenged. Nations investing in similar asymmetric tools, rapid launch, solid fuel systems, mobile platforms, and terminal phase maneuvering are gaining tools that can impose high costs on more heavily resourced adversaries. For the United States, this means difficult choices ahead. Doubling down on expensive defensive systems risks an arms race in interceptors that favors the attacker over time. Shifting emphasis toward preemptive capabilities or enhanced offensive strike options carries its own escalation risks and political costs. Meanwhile, the demonstrated resilience and coordination of Iran and its partners complicate efforts to contain influence through traditional alliances. The Pentagon now faces the task of updating doctrinal assumptions that have guided Middle East strategy for generations. The events underscore that military superiority cannot be measured solely in platform quality or budget size. It must also account for speed of deployment, sustainability under saturation, and the ability to absorb and respond to high-volume precision strikes. In the coming weeks and months, American policymakers will likely intensify reviews of regional force posture, missile defense architecture, and alliance commitments. The goal will be to restore deterrence credibility without being drawn into open-ended conflict. Yet the stark images of burning Merkava formations serve as a reminder that the old formulas are under strain. The United States must adapt to a new reality where determined regional actors, armed with self-developed, high-performance weapons, can challenge established power balances and force even the strongest superpower to recalibrate its approach. This is not merely a tactical setback for Israel's defenses. It is a strategic signal that the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and America's role within it is undergoing a profound transformation. How Washington responds in the coming period will shape not only regional stability, but also the perception of U.S. power on the global stage for years to come. Beyond missiles, radar signatures, and cost exchange ratios lies a deeper and often underestimated dimension of this conflict: the power of willpower and national spirit. For years, Western strategists assumed that sustained sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and targeted military pressure would eventually fracture Iranian society and weaken its resolve. The opposite has occurred. The recent coordinated barrage of 2,500 Sejjil missiles stands as powerful evidence that external pressure has not broken Iran and its allies. It has forged them into a more cohesive and determined force. The willingness of Iran and Hezbollah to launch such a massive, high-risk operation reflects a deep reservoir of national and ideological commitment. Unlike forces that depend primarily on imported technology and foreign guarantees, these actors draw strength from a narrative of resistance, self-reliance, and defense of sovereignty. This sense of purpose creates a psychological endurance that technical calculations alone cannot measure. When soldiers and commanders believe they are fighting for existential survival rather than distant geopolitical interests, they demonstrate greater tolerance for risk, hardship, and prolonged tension. This spirit manifests in practical ways. Iranian engineers worked for decades under sanctions to develop the solid fuel Sejjil from the ground up, turning isolation into innovation. Military units maintain high readiness despite economic difficulties, and leadership shows a willingness to absorb costs that many Western observers once predicted would cause internal collapse. The seamless coordination between Iran and Hezbollah further illustrates shared strategic vision and mutual trust built over years of common struggle. In contrast, Israel's reliance on advanced imported systems and heavy American financial and technological backing reveals a different kind of dependency. While its forces possess superior individual platforms, the recent events expose the limits of a defense posture that places excessive faith in technology and external support. When those systems are saturated and partially breached, the psychological impact runs deeper than physical damage. Confidence in impenetrable shields begins to erode, and questions emerge about long-term sustainability when the opponent shows no signs of fatigue. History repeatedly shows that wars are not decided solely by weapons, but by which side can maintain cohesion and determination longer. Iran and its partners have cultivated a culture of resilience through years of adversity. They have learned to absorb blows, adapt under pressure, and strike back with increasing effectiveness. This resistance economy and hardened national will have become strategic assets as potent as any missile battery. The human factor also explains the operational boldness displayed in this assault. Launching thousands of advanced missiles in coordinated waves requires not only technical capability, but also the moral courage to accept potential retaliation and escalation. The decision to target armored concentrations directly, accepting the risk of crossing established red lines, signals a mindset that refuses to be deterred by superior firepower alone. Such resolve is difficult to generate through training or funding, it must be rooted in deeply held beliefs about justice, dignity, and national destiny. For the United States and its allies, this dimension presents a persistent challenge. Superior technology and wealth can purchase advanced hardware, but they cannot easily replicate the intangible strength that comes from a population convinced it is fighting for its core identity. Attempts to break this spirit through pressure have instead reinforced it, creating a feedback loop where each new challenge strengthens internal unity and creative adaptation. As the dust settles over the burning remains of Merkava columns, the real strategic lesson is clear. In modern conflicts, willpower and national cohesion can offset significant material disadvantages. A side that possesses both advanced indigenous weapons and unbreakable resolve operates on a different plane from one that depends primarily on expensive defensive systems and external patronage. This clash of spirits, one rooted in resistance and self-reliance, the other in technological superiority and alliance dependency, will likely define the trajectory of the conflict far more than any single engagement. The events of this night have proven once again that determination, when paired with capable tools, can reshape battlefield realities and force even the strongest powers to reconsider long-held assumptions about deterrence and dominance. This coordinated missile barrage represents far more than a regional clash. It signals a profound acceleration in the restructuring of the global strategic order. For decades, the post-Cold War world operated under the assumption that Western technological superiority, combined with American power projection, could maintain dominance across critical theaters. The events of this night have delivered a visible crack in that foundation. The successful employment of over 2,500 indigenous Sejjil missiles in a synchronized multi-axis saturation attack demonstrates that determined regional actors can now impose significant costs on even the most advanced Western-backed military architectures. This development accelerates the transition toward a genuinely multipolar military reality. Nations that once accepted technological inferiority as inevitable are proving that focused investment in asymmetric capabilities, solid-fuel ballistic missiles, mobile launch platforms, and terminal phase maneuvering can effectively challenge established doctrines. The cost asymmetry is particularly striking. Expensive layered interceptors are being forced to confront relatively affordable, mass-producible strike systems. Over time, this dynamic erodes the economic sustainability of traditional defense strategies. The implications extend well beyond the Middle East. Russia and China are observing these events with keen strategic interest. Both powers have invested heavily in hypersonic and ballistic missile technologies designed to penetrate advanced air defenses. The demonstrated ability of Iran and Hezbollah to overwhelm sophisticated systems provides valuable real-world validation for similar concepts. It suggests that the era in which superior Western platforms could guarantee unchallenged control of the skies is gradually closing. For the United States, this episode highlights the growing limits of global primacy. Maintaining forward deployed forces, carrier strike groups, and extensive alliance commitments across multiple regions is becoming increasingly expensive and complex. When regional actors can rapidly generate high-volume precision strikes using domestically developed weapons, America's traditional advantage in power projection is diluted. Washington must now grapple with the reality that it cannot simultaneously guarantee absolute security for all partners while facing rising peer competitors in other theaters. This shift also challenges long-standing assumptions about deterrence. The belief that overwhelming technological and financial superiority would discourage challenges is being tested. Instead, we see a pattern where sanctions and pressure have spurred innovation and unity among targeted states, producing capabilities that directly contest Western advantages. The old unipolar model, in which one superpower could shape outcomes through superior force, is giving way to a more contested environment where multiple centers of power can influence events and raise the cost intervention. The burning wreckage of Merkava tank formations serves as a stark symbol of this broader transformation. It illustrates that qualitative edges in armor and active protection can be neutralized by quantitative mass and innovative tactics developed through necessity rather than unlimited budgets. This lesson will resonate in defense ministries worldwide, encouraging further investment in rapid response strike systems, dispersion tactics, and cost-effective countermeasures. Looking ahead, the global picture is one of accelerating change. Alliances are becoming more fluid, technological diffusion is faster than ever, and the willingness of non-Western actors to pursue independent strategic paths is growing. The United States retains immense strengths, economic depth, technological innovation, and a vast network of partners, but it must adapt to an era in which those strengths no longer translate into automatic dominance. The events unfolding in the Middle East are not an isolated incident. They form part of a larger pattern, the gradual erosion of the post-1991 international order and the emergence of a more balanced, albeit more volatile, multipolar world. In this new landscape, success will depend less on maintaining absolute superiority and more on intelligent adaptation, sustainable deterrence, and the ability to manage competition without triggering uncontrolled escalation. What we witnessed this night is therefore not merely a tactical engagement, but a milestone in the evolving global balance of power. The age of unchallenged Western military hegemony is receding, replaced by a more complex reality where resolve, innovation, and strategic coordination can meaningfully reshape the rules of international competition. The coordinated launch of over 2,500 Sejjil Hypersonic capable missiles has delivered more than physical destruction. It has shattered long-standing illusions about absolute military superiority and exposed the fragility of deterrence models built primarily on technology and external support. This event carries a profound societal lesson. No amount of advanced hardware can substitute for national will, strategic patience, and self-reliant innovation. When a nation turns adversity into capability and pressure into unity, it can challenge even the most heavily resourced powers. In an era of rapid technological diffusion, resolve and creativity often prove more decisive than budget size alone. From my perspective as an analyst, we are witnessing the early stages of a new strategic era. The old paradigm where superior Western systems guaranteed unchallenged dominance is fading. What replaces it is a more contested, multipolar world in which determination, indigenous development, and intelligent coordination can reshape regional and global balances. This does not mean the end of American power, but it does demand a more realistic and adaptive approach from Washington and its allies. The burning Merkava formations and overwhelmed defense networks serve as a powerful reminder. In modern conflict, spirit and strategy can overcome material disadvantages when channeled effectively. What do you think? Has this massive Sejjil barrage permanently shifted the balance of power in the Middle East, or is it merely a temporary setback for Israel and the United States? Do you believe Western defense doctrines can adapt quickly enough to this new reality? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and look forward to a thoughtful discussion. If this in-depth strategic breakdown helped you understand the deeper shifts happening on the global stage, please hit the like button, subscribe to US Strategic Insight, and turn on notifications so you never miss future analyses. Share this video with anyone who wants clear, unfiltered insight into today's rapidly changing world. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay objective, and I'll see you in the next episode.